So inevitably, while selling New York City real estate, I'm confronted with this question: can I rent my apartment on Airbnb? I'm looking right at you, millennial cowboy. And the answer, in nearly all instances, is no. For co-ops, absolutely no.
I feel like that's definitely like
Condominiums, very, very likely no, because the boards for both will prohibit this action from taking place. People will say, oh, well, it's a condominium, it's a real property, I own it. Can I rent it out on Airbnb? And the answer is no. Your board will probably prohibit it. And not only that, but the city prohibits it and prevents you from renting out your apartment in its entirety to a guest on a short-term basis, less than 30 days. So that's one issue that you're bumping into. Why is New York City so restrictive in its Airbnb policy? And the reason is we're confronting a housing shortage, which is why prices are so expensive. So people don't want you taking your apartment and renting it out on a night-by-night basis to tourists that don't actually live here full time. That's what hotels are for. But on another level, and this is really for you too, because it is your apartment, but do you really want people coming and going on a night-by-night basis? I've seen these people traveling, man. Potential bed bugs, mice. People don't take care of the building as well as you'd like. They won't take care of your apartment as well as you'd like. Then there's also just the logistical hurdles of checking them in and out, getting them in and out of your building, cleaning the trash. You know, for the little delta that you'll get on subleasing your apartment on a night-by-night basis, it's going to create enormous headaches for the homeowner. And it's probably going to devalue your property in a lot of ways because it's going to get beaten up. You know, no one's going to be wiping up after themselves when they spill a little beer on the countertop when they're having a party on New Year's. So you have to ask yourself if these are really worth it, or these risks are really worth it. Another thing that I want to add is when Airbnb is actually acceptable. I should add one thing. On apartment rentals, for my rental that I signed, strictly prohibited Airbnb in any capacity. So sometimes in your lease agreement, you're coming across Airbnb agreements. But when would it actually be okay to do an Airbnb? You need someone that's there full-time, living in the unit, and whoever you are bringing in as an Airbnb guest, they need to have access to all of the rooms, so you can't do little private divvying up of space. And in that instance, they'd be able to stay for less than the 30 days. So essentially, it's a roommate. So if you're, a guy buying a studio or a one-bedroom and you want to do an Airbnb, that puts you in the position of bringing in a roommate that's sleeping on your couch. So those are just a couple things to think about on the Airbnb side. I know people face pretty large and hefty fines on that Airbnb renting. So there's that you're up against. There's kind of a task force that the city has hired that monitors which listings are on Airbnb and tries to crack down on it. So, you face the potential for fines. You have a lot of administrative headache. I think in other places where it's easier to let people in and out of a building, maybe it makes a bit more sense, but those are just some of the hurdles that you're up against in New York City on the Airbnb side. So, my millennials, if you are thinking about doing an Airbnb with your brand new 2-bedroom condominium, you better do it in the capacity of having a roommate, and you better be ready to do a lot of extra work to make it happen. Otherwise, you're in for some fines, and you're probably skirting the law. So check with your attorney and feel free to reach out to me anytime. Social media at Mr. Corey Cohen. or 646-939-7375. See ya.